Imagine this, it's midnight, and you're alone in your dimly lit living room. The hum of the city seeping through a cracked window. Rain taps the glass like a heartbeat, each drop echoing the weight you've carried all day. Your phone buzzes, another text, another demand on your time, your energy, your voice, and that knot in your chest tightens. You've just left a conversation where you poured out your heart, only to be drowned out by louder voices, interrupted, mocked, left feeling like a ghost in your own story. Deep down, you wonder if you're even worth hearing, each silence chipping away at the person you used to be. Sound familiar? I bet it does. Maybe it was that Thanksgiving dinner where you bit your tongue while your uncle ranted, leaving you feeling small and unseen. You've been taught that staying quiet means you're weak, that not fighting back is losing, that every silence is a surrender, and every time you let that lie win, you're handing over your power, letting others define who you are. But what if the secret to gaining your edge lies in a trick Nietzsche revealed centuries ago? A thinker so misunderstood he's been called a madman, yet so brilliant he saw through the chaos of human chatter. Nietzsche uncovered this: the loudest voices are the weakest, spilling their secrets with every word. The quiet ones, those who don't need to prove a thing, hold the upper hand. Imagine a wolf in the wild, not the one barking, but the one staring, still, its eyes cutting through the pack until they scatter in fear. This isn't about shrinking away or letting others walk over you. No, this is about turning silence into your sharpest edge, a mirror that forces others to face their own noise. It's about stepping into a power so deep it doesn't need to scream to be felt. Right now, you might be thinking, me, powerful? I'm just the one who gets ignored. But stick with me, because this video is for you, the one tired of being the easy target, the nice guy, the peacemaker who ends up broken. We're diving into a journey where silence isn't your enemy, it's your greatest ally. Nietzsche's trick shows us it's not the battle of words that wins, but the mastery of not fighting at all. Imagine walking away from a fight not because you lost, but because you never needed to join. That's the kind of strength we're unlocking today. So, take a deep breath, feel that tension in your chest, and let's step into the shadows together. You're going to see silence in a way that changes everything. Are you ready to stop shrinking and start standing tall right now, in this moment? With me by your side, let's begin. Let's dive into the first hard truth. The world has sold you a lie about words. You've been told that speaking up, defending yourself, proving your point is the path to strength, like it's some badge of honor. But Nietzsche saw right through that illusion, and he called it what it is: a trap, a symptom of weakness rooted in something darker, your ego. Picture this: James, a 28-year-old software developer from Denver, is sitting in a meeting, his palms sweaty, heart racing. He's presenting a project he's poured months into, hoping to shine at the company's annual review just before the holidays, but his boss cuts him off mid-sentence, questioning his approach. James panics. He starts over-explaining, justifying every choice, his voice shaky, words tumbling over each other like a house of cards collapsing. The room goes quiet, not out of respect, but pity. By the end, his boss dismisses him with a curt, "We'll revisit this," and James walks out feeling smaller than he's ever felt. As he sat in his car afterward, the silence of the empty parking lot pressed down on him. He felt like a failure, wondering if he'd ever be enough. Sound familiar? I bet it does. Nietzsche would say James fell into the trap of what he called herd morality, the desperate need to be seen as good, correct, accepted by the pack. He argued that most people don't speak to seek truth, they speak to protect their fragile egos. Experts tell us this stems from a gut-level fear of rejection. Your brain's amygdala lights up, screaming for approval, pushing you to talk even when it hurts you. When you feel the urge to justify, argue, or fill the silence, you're already losing. Why? Because every word you speak hands your power to the very people you're trying to impress. It's a vicious cycle. You talk to feel strong, but you're just tightening the chains you didn't even know you were wearing. Now, get real. Take a second to think back to a moment when you argued, explained, or defended yourself, and it left you drained. Maybe it was a debate with a friend over something small. Or a tense moment at work where you felt you had to prove your worth? How did it feel to keep talking, hoping they'd finally get it? Write that moment down. What pattern do you see? Do you always speak to avoid conflict or to prove your worth? Ask yourself, what would happen if you stayed silent instead? Nietzsche saw this as the ultimate weakness, the inability to stand in your truth without needing to prove it. True power, he said, isn't in winning arguments, it's in not needing to fight them at all. That's the path of Nietzsche's Übermensch, a figure who rises above the herd by mastering their own silence, a strength we'll build together. So, take the first step with me. Stop seeing words as your shield, they're not. Are you ready to break free and see what silence can do? This is the first layer of Nietzsche's trick, recognizing words as a trap. You've seen James struggle, felt the weight of herd morality, and started to question your own patterns. Silence isn't weakness, it's the beginning of power. Carry this insight as we move deeper into mastering life without words. Now that we've broken free from the chains of over-talking that held James back in his meeting, let's turn that lesson into something powerful. Silence isn't just your escape, it's a mirror that exposes the insecurities of those around you. Nietzsche envisioned the Übermensch, a figure who doesn't just avoid the trap of speech, but uses silence to unsettle and dominate. Picture him as a lone eagle on a cliff, watching the chaos below untouched, unshaken, his silence louder than any storm. In that moment, Emily became that eagle, her silence a piercing gaze that made Tara's storm crumble. Meet Emily, a 34-year-old nurse from Chicago, who stumbled into this truth one chilly afternoon at a bustling Chicago Starbucks during the holiday rush. She had a friend, Tara, who loved to dominate their coffee chats, twisting Emily's words to make her feel small, criticizing her job, her dating life, anything to stay in control. Tara launched into her usual rant, her voice sharp and smug. But Emily remembered how James lost his power by speaking too much. She didn't argue back. She sat there, sipping her coffee, her face calm, her silence heavy like a storm cloud. Tara kept going, louder, more desperate, until she stumbled, blurting out, "Why aren't you saying anything? Don't you care?" That moment, Emily's quiet gaze cracked Tara open, her insecurity, her need to control, all laid bare because Emily refused to play. For the first time, Emily felt a quiet surge of power. She wasn't small anymore. She was untouchable. Her silence a shield Tara couldn't pierce. Nietzsche's Übermensch knew this power instinctively, and science confirms it. Silence triggers the amygdala, the brain's fear center, flooding them with anxiety, while the Übermensch observes, letting silence do the heavy lifting. Emily didn't need to defend herself. Her stillness turned Tara's confidence into a house of cards, collapsing under its own weight. That's the mirror effect. Your silence reflects their flaws back at them, and they can't handle what they see. Put this into action. Next time someone tries to pull you into an argument, maybe a co-worker pushing your buttons, or a family member stirring drama, don't respond right away. Just watch. Watch their tone change, their body stiffen, their confidence crack. After, jot it down. What did their reaction reveal? Were they insecure, angry, desperate? And how did it feel to stay calm while they unraveled? Did you feel a surge of power, like you were untouchable, just like Emily? Let that feeling sink in. Now, take it further. The next day, use that surge of power to set a boundary with someone, maybe a simple no, and see how your silence reshapes the dynamic. This isn't passive, it's strategic. You're holding up that mirror, letting them expose themselves while you take the lead. That's the power Nietzsche saw in the Übermensch, a strength that grows when you stop reacting and start observing. You're not just breaking free from words, you're using silence to see others for who they really are. Let's carry that clarity forward. We've uncovered the traps of words with James, and how Emily turns silence into a mirror to expose Tara's insecurities. Now take that power and make it yours to control. Nietzsche's philosophy isn't just about seeing through others. It's about mastering yourself, and he called this the will to power. It's a steady, unshakable force, like a tree standing firm against the wind. Silence isn't a retreat, it's your sharpest tool to command any situation. Meet Daniel, a 41-year-old mechanic from Atlanta, who learned this at a family barbecue last 4th of July. His brother-in-law, Mark, always picked fights, this time over politics, his voice booming across the backyard, jabbing at Daniel's beliefs with a smirk. Normally, Daniel would have jumped in, arguing until his face turned red, just like James did in that meeting. But after seeing how Emily's silence shifted the dynamic with Tara, Daniel tried something new. He took a slow sip of his beer, looked Mark in the eye, and said nothing. The tension grew thicker than the summer heat. Mark kept pushing, his voice rising, but Daniel's calm silence made him falter. Eventually, Mark backed off, mumbling, "Whatever, man," and walked away. The whole family noticed. For the first time, Daniel wasn't the one who looked weak. Mark was. That quiet moment didn't just win the day. It made Daniel feel like he'd finally taken the driver's seat in his own life. In that moment, a rush of pride swelled in his chest. He wasn't just weathering the chaos anymore. He was its master, unshaken and alive. Here's how you can master this, straight from Nietzsche's playbook. First, pause when someone challenges you. Don't react. Count to 5 in your head. Let the tension build like a coiled spring. Second, observe while they talk. Notice their weaknesses. Maybe their voice cracks or they fidget, showing their unease. Third, let silence work. Hold your quiet longer than feels comfortable, forcing them to fill the void, exposing their cracks just like Emily did. This isn't passivity, it's control. Nietzsche said the reactive mind is enslaved, but the observing mind, the one that chooses when to speak, is free, even in negotiations. Silence works. People often given because they can't handle your calm. Make this real with a silence mastery challenge. This week, pick one heated moment, maybe at work or during a family dinner, and pause before you respond. Observe their reaction, hold your silence, and after, whisper to yourself, how did it feel to take the lead? Did you feel stronger, more grounded, like Daniel did? Did it spark a rush of strength inside you, like you were mastering your own challenge? Just like Daniel? That's the will to power Nietzsche talked about, standing tall while others crumble. You're not just staying quiet, you're building a fortress of self-mastery, one silent moment at a time. Let's keep that momentum going. You've learned to wield silence like Daniel, commanding control in the chaos of that barbecue. But there's a shadow we need to face. Not all silence is power, some is submission. And it's been draining you for years. Nietzsche called this the morality of slaves, the kind of silence where you swallow your anger, avoid conflict, and let others take what's yours. Just as you might have done when James let his boss dominate or Emily stayed quiet under Tara's rants. Meet Rachel, a 29-year-old teacher from Seattle who lived this trap. Her boyfriend, Nate, always made decisions for her: where they'd eat, who they'd see, dismissing her ideas with a smirk. Rachel stayed quiet, convincing herself it wasn't worth the fight, that she was being the bigger person. But each time she bit her tongue, she felt diminished, like a shadow of herself, her voice fading until she barely recognized herself. One rainy evening, after Nate canceled her plans again, something snapped. Rachel walked away, her silence not of fear but of finality, whispering, "I'm done." That quiet moment wasn't surrender, it was her reclaiming her power, a power Daniel harnessed in his backyard, a power Emily used to unmask Tara. In that instant, a fire sparked inside her. She felt alive, whole, as if she'd finally stepped into the sunlight after years in the shadows. Nietzsche would say Rachel broke free from the herd morality that taught her to shrink. He wrote, for those who dare to create their own values, their own rules, the Übermensch, who doesn't silence themselves out of fear but commands silence as a choice. Picture the Übermensch as a lighthouse in a storm, its beam cutting through the darkness, not dimming for others, but guiding with unyielding light. Rachel became that lighthouse in her own storm. Her quiet "I'm done," a beam that cut through Nate's control, guiding her back to herself. The silence of submission lets others shape you. The silence of presence shapes the world around you. Think about your life. Where have you been silent out of fear? Maybe it's with a friend who always takes, or a boss who dismisses you, or a partner who ignores your needs. Write down one moment where you stayed quiet and it cost you your peace, your dignity, your truth. What did that silence feel like? A weight, a cage, a quiet loss of your own voice? Or maybe it's not a person, maybe it's the silence you keep with yourself, ignoring your own needs to avoid rocking the boat. Now, imagine if you'd chosen silence not to avoid, but to assert your worth, like Rachel did when she walked away. This is your moment to rise. You're not here to please the world, you're here to live on your terms. Just as Emily and Daniel did, take Rachel's courage this week. Find one situation where you'd normally stay quiet out of fear, and flip it. Use silence to set a boundary, maybe by quietly saying no to a draining request, or walking away from a one-sided argument. Then reflect. How did it feel to claim your strength? Did it feel like breaking a cage, like you were finally shining your own light? Just like Rachel, Nietzsche believed the will to power isn't about dominating others, it's about dominating yourself, becoming the master of your own story. You're not just breaking silence, you're breaking chains, stepping into the Übermensch you were always meant to be. Let that fire burn inside you, because you're on the path to something unstoppable. We've walked this path together, and look how far we've come. We've mastered for silent strengths, recognizing weakness with James, observing power with Emily, commanding control with Daniel, and reclaiming freedom with Rachel, all guided by Nietzsche's Übermensch. From James' struggle in that tense meeting, we learned how words trap us. With Emily at that bustling Chicago Starbucks, we turned silence into a mirror. Daniel showed us how to rule the storm at that 4th of July barbecue. And Rachel's courage in walking away from Nate's shadow taught us to break free. Nietzsche's wisdom has shown that true strength lies not in speaking loudest, but in mastering the silence within. This journey hasn't just been mine to share, it's been ours to walk together. You felt the weight lift with James, the surge of power with Emily, the steady control with Daniel, and the fire of freedom with Rachel. You became part of this transformation. Remember to pause, watch, hold your silence, and set boundaries. Those tools are yours to use every day. You're shaping your own story, step by step, right alongside me. Let that pride fuel you now. Share it. Drop a comment below and share one moment where you used silence to take back your power this week. Did it feel like breaking a cage? Did it light a spark inside you? We can inspire each other. Reply to someone else's story with your own thoughts, or tag a friend who needs to join this journey. Hit that like button if this resonated, and subscribe to stay with us as we dive deeper into mastering ourselves. Together, we can turn every silence into a victory. You're forging your own unstoppable Übermensch. Step by step, grab my hand, and let's keep walking this path, stronger every day. Until next time, hold your silence like a light, and let it guide you forward.